we've been adding roughly about 250 to 300K in weekly revenue in terms of ARR. I always believe that um, information should be searched by conversation and not by a query.
Hello everyone, welcome to new episode of Journey of Growth. I am Dheeraj, your host. Today is with me Ellen D'Souza. Hi Ellen, welcome to Journey of Growth.
Hey, Dheeraj. Thank you. Great to be here. I mean, as soon as you told me that you're starting this thing, I felt there's no one better who should be starting a journey of growth. And I think it's super amazing to see you do this and share the actual growth mantras with everyone who's watching this.
Thank you for your kind words, Ellen. So Ellen, why don't you start with your intro, what you do, and about your journey? Because I've seen you have built so many startups in your whole professional journey. All your life, you have only built stuff. So why don't you start, Ellen?
Cool. Great. I mean, I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. Ended up building a lot of things. I mean, I'm Alan from this place called Bangalore in India, and moved to Bangalore to do my engineering, and then fell in love with the concept called startups. I came to do my engineering from Pacific Bangalore, and that's where I kind of started hearing about startups as such. And right from college days, I got into my first startup. Was been an entrepreneur for about 15 years now. This is Outbox Labs is my fifth venture now, but right from college, built something called a text browser, which was more like a chat GPT, but on SMS. Of course, at a much smaller scale. But I always believe that information should be searched by conversation and not by a query, right? And those days, everything used to be like a query. Like, okay, if you want to understand, if you want to get cricket scores, it used to be write CRI, or if you wanted to get anything, you had to enter a keyword. And I said, okay, why don't we have a natural language conversation and where you can browse information in natural language, and that's where we kind of built text browser. The product, for example, you could say anything like, you could say, who is Adolf Hitler, or tell me the movies that are playing on TV, or what are the best places for dosa in Bangalore, whatever, and anything that you could ask for. This thing would answer the queries, and we would charge 1.5 rupees for every search. Product went viral, answered about 1.5 billion searches in the next 2 years before SMS got outdated. And then we kind of built something called Free Pesa, which was like a mobile discovery platform, mobile app discovery platform. Then we built, that went on for about 2 years till about 16, 17. And then we built something in the real money gaming space called Teen Pati Gold Rush, which was, which allowed people to interact with each other over games. And my most recent venture was called OpenApp, which I co-founded in 2021. And now I'm building Outbox Labs, where trying to build growth tools.
Wow, that's really fascinating, Ellen. I mean, so many things you have touched upon in your journey, so many industries, So, okay, now tell me about Outbox Labs. What products do you have under the umbrella of Outbox, and who are they built for?
Absolutely. I think at Outbox, when I was starting Outbox, we kind of went back and said, okay, what are the things that really we're passionate about, right? And I believe that, most of the products or the companies that I built so far, the one common metric was growth, right? Right from text browser, we had billion queries that were answered, or, and then Free Pesa, we had about 10 million users who were there, active users in the games. We had more than 1 million monthly active users, and so on, right? And I said, okay, and most of these users were acquired organically. And I said, okay, if you're building, we have to build something where other companies can use these channels for their own growth. And that's what Outbox was founded with. The intent was to build painkillers for growth, not vitamins for growth. All right. That was the thought process. And our first product was called Reach and Box, which is a cold outreach platform. Completely automates your entire cold outreach journey. And that we started taken the market in December last year, and kind of went viral early on. Acquired about 10,000 plus paying users, and kind of still scaling that. Then we built the next product was called ZapMail, which is a product for setting up email infrastructure, automating email infrastructure setup. So wherever we saw, we saw that okay, we built cold outreach tools, and then we said okay, the next pain is actually the email infrastructure, because no matter how good you are in your tool and everything, you also need to have very robust email infrastructure, which was broken. So we went on solving that. That's where ZapMail came into play, and then we built for email verification and validation. We said okay, all the existing tools were there. They were solving for regular email verification, but we noticed that the larger part was this catch-all emails, which was coming as a risky category. There were a lot of emails that were valid even in that, and leads were getting lost because of that. I said, okay, there should be a way to solve this, and that's why we built Mail Verify, which is basically a catch-all validation tool as well, wherein whatever you add over there, it will identify if your catch-all emails are valid and so on. And now we are further building in the leads space, where you can find leads for your business directly by just entering a URL or just entering in natural language. So we believe that even the lead search should not be you should not have to figure that okay, enter a designation, enter an area. You should just have to be able to search for that in natural language. So that's what we're building.
I think this is a high time people should know what is ZapMail, what problem it solves, and then we will follow on with the questions.
Absolutely. So when as I said, when we're doing our outreach, we realized that you need to buy domains. You cannot do emailing from your primary domain, right? Rule number 1, right? So we said, okay, how do we buy these secondary domains? We had to go to various providers, maybe Namecheap, GoDaddy, or Name.com, all of these providers, Pokebud, whatever, right? Went and bought domains over there. Then we said, okay, now we have to do the DNS configurations, right? Because you have to have the right DNS configurations. Okay, then I also need to go and buy Google mailboxes or Microsoft mailboxes, right? And set them up manually, go and add cards, figure out that, okay, these cards are unique, do all of this setup, set up the DNS inside Google, set up the DNS inside the domain provider, configure everything, then go and add them to either, at reach inbox, wherein, you do a OAuth configuration, add this client IDs, all of this. Rocket science, right? And each of the, especially in today's time where mailboxes, you're saying you limit, say, to 10 emails per mailbox per day. To send out 1,000 emails, you need 100 mailboxes added, right? Each mailbox, adding a mailbox would normally take about 15 to 20 minutes minimum. And I said, there should be a better way to do it, right? This shouldn't take so long. That's how we built ZapMail. That's how we came with the idea of ZapMail. Said that, okay, if you enter a term, which is your primary domain, let's say you enter reach inbox, it should give you suggestions that get reach inbox, try reach inbox HQ, reach inbox online, whatever, right? It gives you the list of domains. You select all of these domains as your secondary domains, buy them in one go. Automatically, your entire DNS is configured on Cloudflare or wherever, which is a right DNS provider. We look for the best option there, and then it adds all of the DNS records. Your name servers are set automatically. All of that is done. Then it goes and creates your mailboxes with whatever names, first name, last name, profile pictures that you set. All of this is done and added directly into Reachbox or whichever platform that you choose. All of this happens within maximum 30 minutes, right? So we said, okay, for somebody who is doing this at scale, ZapMail made absolute sense. And that's why I think it's also gone so viral. And, we have so many users that are liking and enjoying ZapMail.
Got it. So, just to summarize it, this solves the domain and your mailbox setup. I mean, domain
Absolutely.
You can still buy from outside and integrate to ZapMail dashboard, but ZapMail also provides an option to buy domains from within the platform and set it up there. Understood.
Yes.
I tell you about my experience. I used to rely on virtual assistants for this. I mean, this was always used to be 2 to 3 days of time to set up even 10, 20 mailboxes. First, you chase these people, give all the info, And before that, I used to do it manually. I was fool enough to add my phone numbers. Let's say I have got 20 mailboxes, then finding so many phone numbers to, add to it. At one point, I have added my family members' phone numbers to the Gmail accounts. That was fool of me to do, but definitely, you folks solve my problem and the likes of me who have been, whose bread and butter is outbound. So yeah.
Yeah. So we had the exact same problem as well. And, some of our friends also had the exact same problem where they would see that, okay, by giving it a VA, sometimes what happens, the wrong passwords are entered. One character is missing. Now they don't know which mailboxes the character is missing, right? Basically human errors. And I knew at that point that this cannot happen through humans. This has to happen in as much as an automated way as possible. Yeah.
Understood. Since you have given us an intro to the ZapMail, if you are kind enough to share how ZapMail is growing, number of users it has, and obviously the revenue. Because I myself know the story, but I want people to know how crazily that you folks have grown.
Absolutely. I think ZapMail, we started roughly around June, mid of June this year, and we hit our first million in 15 weeks after that. And the first million I feel is the toughest, right? Everything breaks, right? Especially when you do it with such a short span of time, and there's immense amount of learning that you go through in terms of managing and all of that. Thankfully, we had a fantastic team that held by the entire process, and we were able to deliver good user experience. We spent zero on marketing ZapMail, like absolutely zero. There is no ads that have ever run for ZapMail or anything like that. It's mostly word of mouth that has brought in users. And ever since we hit the first million, after that, we've been adding roughly about 250 to 300K in weekly revenue in terms of ARR. And right now, we managed roughly about 140K plus kind of mailboxes. So these are the kind of numbers that we are at. Hopefully, we continue to maintain the momentum and grow from here.
Wow, that's crazy. First bootstrapped, second organically, growing to 1 million in 15 weeks. Wow. Congratulations, Alan, to you and team for pulling this off.
Thank you so much. Wouldn't have been possible without the support of friends like you and everyone else who has trusted us. But yeah, I think that's where it has helped us in our journey, where all of you guys have really pushed us to perform it.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you. Okay, now we have talked about your journey, the platforms that you have built or are building, and ZapMail, and the mind-blowing numbers that you have given me. Okay, so since you on the outbound stack, what a sales guys or a agency guys like me use, I'm gonna ask you a bunch of questions now on the process itself. Okay, for a layman, not for a layman, also even for any person listening to this, how can we start email outbound as a growth channel? Please walk us through the whole process by giving practical examples of right from procuring the infra to setting up the campaign. If you can walk us through that.
Yeah, so I think for your outbound, I think the most important thing is figuring out whether your offer is really valid for outbound, right? I feel that anything that has an ACV of 500 and above, in terms of $500 and above, I think that's a good place to start outbound. And once you've identified that, okay, things are okay, my business seems to be suitable for outbound, I think you should then figure out two things in parallel. One is use ZapMail and set up your email infra, right? Try, of course, to find the domains. You can look at the ZapMail. ZapMail as a calculator, wherein based on the outreach that you want to do, right, you can find the number of mailboxes and domains that are needed, right? So I think a good way to look at this is back calculate what is the number of leads that I can manage in a month, right? How many leads that I can look at it. Like, so for example, if I can handle or I can service 100 leads a month, I would then want to maybe reach out to at least 10,000 prospects, right? Assuming I have a 1% conversion rate, right? So that's a really good assumption. And if you're able to convert them well, you have at least reach out to 10,000 prospects. So set up the infra for that. And then parallelly, I think you should look at procuring your lead list. I think you can look at great waterfall tools and enrichment tools like Clay, Persona, or BitScale. It's a new entrant, but they've been doing really well. So you can just enter the kind of audience that you're looking for, and you can kind of enrich your data and get leads from there. You can also the other something that's come up really well is we see a lot of companies doing well with the LinkedIn follower targeting and all of that. There are some tools that have come like Scrapely is here, which is helps you identify some lead lists from your LinkedIn follower lists, and you can get this list. Then once you've done that, set it up on your tool, right? Once you have the mailboxes procured, you have these lead lists procured, set this up, right? And without bias, but I think Reach Inbox is a great outreach tool for you guys to kind of use your lead list, add your lead list, get a Reach Inbox account, and upload your lead list there. Use the export functionality in ZapMail to directly add your mailboxes to Reach Inbox. And of course, there are other great outreach tools as well. You can use either Instantly, Smart Lead, or Lemlist, Reply. All of these are great tools as well. Without anything. But once you've done that, once you've set up all of these things, I think it's also very important to validate your lead list, right? So some of these tools like Clay and all of this, they have this export option for verifying leads. But if not, you can always use Mail Verify to kind of ensure that you have 100% validated lead lists, right? So what validation means is, basically checking whether this email account is actually valid, or whether it is, actually receiving inbound emails. Sometimes due to storage or whatever reason, it's not receiving emails. It doesn't work, right? So I think it's very important to validate your list. After that, start setting up your email sequences, right? There are some great tools that have come right now, which is, for example, you can look at Twain. Twain has been getting a lot of popularity. Coldflakes has been getting a lot of popularity in setting up hyper-personalized outreach sequences, right? Because gone are the days when you can set up one email sequence, say that, okay, I'm going to write this sequence and send it to 10,000 people and hope that all the 10,000 people are going to receive that. That's no longer going to happen, right? You should definitely look at using a hyper-personalized sequence, right? Try to use any of these tools, set up a very hyper-personalized email sequence for your lead list, and then start reaching out to these guys maybe 3 weeks once you're done with your warm-up process. All right, I definitely recommend going with at least 3 weeks of warm-up before you start your outreach, because without that, it becomes really difficult for us to see any results. For example, now if you get a new Google account, I don't know if you noticed this, Dheeraj, but new Google accounts, they don't even show the name in the recipient's inbox, right? Till it warms up properly. Initially, it only shows the email ID, right? And then eventually it starts showing the first name, last name, and so on. So I think that's a good way to get your entire outbound stack set up.
Got it. So how should I, okay. I will put it, Ellen, this way, that first I can start with looking at the ACV that I am dealing with. You said $500?
Yes, absolutely.
Don't you think it should be more than that?
I would say that's what I said. 500 should be the bare minimum, right?
Yeah.
An ideal ACV is anywhere, to start off should be slightly more than that, but I think bare minimum should be 500 at least.
Understood. And the next step is to first, while you map your ICP, get your data, enrich it, and extract it from the platforms like Apollo is there, then Clay does all the job, right? you simultaneously will have to buy your domains and mailboxes, for which obviously ZapMail is there. There you then, once setup is done from your ESP, your email sending platform, you put it on warm up ideally for 14 to 21 days, and then next step is you use something like Clay, something like Twain, and what was the other platform you said?
Cold clicks.
Cold
Cold
Click.
clicks is an
Got it.
it's a new tool, but it seems to be doing well. Yeah.
Got it. Just to refine your copy, and I think you start with the process.
So these are not for refining copies, but for creating more hyper-personalized copies. All right. So
Understood.
if it will write a different copy for you. It'll write a different copy for me. It'll write a different copy for anyone else based on
Individual
their,
level personalization.
exactly. Instead of
Got it.
writing the same email for everyone, this creates an individual level copy for each of the recipients,
Got it.
thereby increasing your further chances of
Understood.
success.
Ellen, I have a bunch of questions now around what's up with the outbound market. What tsunami of, I think, the personalization, the new tactics, and all that, AI SDRs are there. This programmatic outbound is there. With so much in the outbound space, now I believe an average a CXO would be getting 100 emails in a week, right? How's the delivery rates like? Do you have any insights? I mean, the benchmarking reports or something that you can, the numbers that you can share from that. What's the deliverability
Absolutely,
rate like?
absolutely. I think what has changed in the outbound space, Dheeraj, is that the days of spray and pray are over. All right, it's a very focused, targeted outreach that you should do, and that's what works. If you spray and pray, your entire campaign gets really bad results. We still see some folks getting 12%, 14% reply rates on reach inbox, right? So it's not that the outbound market is dead. All right, the outbound market is still very much alive. But as long as you know how to target and who are your target audiences, right? So, for example, if you send an offer that's completely irrelevant to me, right? If you send me a gym offer, for example, on my email, I'm just not even going to look at it, right? I mean, it's not relevant for me. But if you send me something related to any outbound tool, or use like other day I got a very beautiful cold outreach, and to tell you, I think at least 70% of the tools that we use at Outbox are all purchased from Outbound, right? Don't flood my inboxes. These are the things that this is the way we discover tools as well. And I got some very relevant email about this startup which solves for salary planning or salary tax planning recently, and I said, wow, this was so relevant. It was put very beautifully. Reach the inbox, right? So as long as you put something which is relevant, it will reach inboxes and it will get you the necessary reply rates. But yeah, that's what it's no longer the send anything and expect a response. That's not happening. So yeah, that's what we've been noticing. Been also noticing multi-channel working very beautifully, wherein you're using a multi-touch point approach, not just email. You're also doing something over LinkedIn. So people are able to respond better when they've heard of you. So they see your content on LinkedIn, and then you send something on email. They're like, wow, okay, let me respond to this. All right. So you need to have built that kind of approach as well. And yeah, I think the other things have not changed much. In terms of AI SDR, I see, of course, there's a lot of hype going out around that. Um, but honestly, I think we're still very far away from AI SDRs taking over the entire process. Right? I've not heard of many companies who went to ASDRs and said, okay, yes, we are sorted here. I think we're getting great business over here. Let's stick here. Right? They are trying, but then we have companies who are using traditional tools and existing tools and agencies and still experiment with ASDR. I think we are still quite far away from ASDRs taking over the entire process.
Understood. And what are the numbers like? I mean, obviously, the deliverability has gone down. I think every year it is dropping down drastically. I mean, where this is going?
Yeah, so I think it's more like the numbers have decreased in terms of if you're trying to use the same infra and send to larger numbers. I think that's where the numbers have gone down, right? I mean, earlier you could use a mailbox and send 500 emails a day and you're cool. All right. This is, early 2010, 2012. You could send as many emails you want from your Gmail and, Google Workspace, and everything is cool. That went down, right? I think 2020, we were still at 50 emails per day kind of a thing. Today, I don't think you should cross more than 10 emails per day per mailbox if you want to get good results, right? That's where we've seen our users hit some good touch points, right? Wherein at about 8 to 10 emails per day per mailbox, that's where users are seeing still continuing to see results rather, right? And at this point, I think most users are able to see a decent 7 to 10% reply rates or so.
Wow, that's fascinating. So, you touched upon the points like multi-channel outreach, hyper-personalization, where an individual level personalization is something which is required. And I was still under the impression that 25 a day is a safe number to send. But I think you have again changed. I mean, every day some new or the other thing is coming up. I just love the content shared by the Cold IQ guys. So, and Eric is there. I think most of my insights I gather from those people.
I think keeping the gap, right? I mean, 10. So why I think these numbers are working is you have 10 emails that you're sending through your campaign and say about uh, 30 or 40 warm-up emails as well, right? That kind of maintains the overall reputation of the mailbox, right? And overall, these campaign emails are going once in an hour, right? So you split your campaign across 8 hours. So you have 1.25 emails being sent out for every hour, right? On an average. And I think that's where you get that advantage of delivering to the inbox and ensuring that your campaign runs smoothly.
And how do I mean, with the regulations tightening, uh, uh, you know, which is happening by the Google and Microsoft, which is strictly against spamming the users. Where do you see this all is heading? I mean, we can't go down to the number where we say that, okay, we will send one email per mailbox. Then this doesn't make sense as a channel, right? 10 is obviously a very low number, but anything lower than that is going to put this whole channel into danger.
Yes, I think, see, uh, eventually it's about emulating human behavior, right? Essentially, you're automating human behavior, right? And quite obviously, I think tools were able to understand that, okay, this is not the volume that a human would send generally. But yeah, I think, like you rightly said, below a certain number, it doesn't make sense. But I think 5 to 10 should be a decent number for, even regular users. I think that's where the email infra is going to stabilize, kind of a thing.
Okay. I've been hearing a lot about the IP reputation, that any email infra that you buy from any South Asian country, uh, as compared to something acquired in the US, has more reputation, right? How does that work? Is this a myth, or something like this truly exists?
Also, I think very, very good point. I think a lot of people, there have been, so a lot of content sometimes is created just for the heck of it. I feel a lot of these people, cold outage guys, say that, okay, don't use this. This is, US IPs only work, or, South Asian IPs don't work. There is no data that is supporting that, that US IPs or US mailboxes work better than anything. Right. So, I mean, I'm just trying to understand, any company, any business in India buys a mailbox from Google India and then sends it out. If the mailboxes in US don't receive it, I think that's a case for a lawsuit, right? And are you trying to say that Google is going to give unfair treatment to its customers in South Asian countries and give different treatment to US countries just because there is a pricing parity? So, the difference is there is a pricing parity, and that's why, the mailboxes have different pricing. But that doesn't mean that, you'll get unfair treatment because you're buying it from certain part of the world. If you're using it for your business, they don't want you to use a different country pricing in US, right? So if you're sitting in the US and using it for day-to-day business, that's where Google has put that pricing parity. But it doesn't mean that the deliverability has to vary, right? So it's still using the same Google infra, it's still using the same Microsoft infra. All of these mailboxes go to the same infra. That cannot have unfair treatment to customers just because you are located in some part of the world. I think that's
Yeah.
where it is.
But isn't it is something which is makes more sense for somebody sitting in US to acquire these mailboxes of Indian IP or Pakistani IP, because that would be comparatively cheaper than the price they have to pay in US? Or this is
I
something which
think
is, yeah.
I think yeah. So as it depends on your use case, right?
Hmm.
So it depends on what your use case is, right? So ideally, if your use case is for day-to-day activities, and if they are being utilized in a particular region, then it's good to go for that regional pricing itself, right? So if your use case is that you're running a business in India, and then it's good to get your mailboxes from India. If you are running a business in Dubai and you're based here, then it's good to get mailboxes of Dubai pricing, right? Because that's where Google sees your primary place of business. However, if you're looking at secondary domains or you're looking at secondary mailboxes, it doesn't matter where you're acquiring these from.
So it's a sensible practice that any company can pick up.
Yeah, I think it's an acceptable practice based on what is your use case of those mail.
Understood. Understood. I think, yeah, that's a very useful insight. And thank you for breaking the myths that, I've been hearing a lot.
Anytime, anytime.
Yeah. So, now you see this from a receiver's perspective. Okay.
Mhm.
Outbound has a bad repo. Nobody likes to be sold. That's a very normal
Absolutely.
human behavior. But still, all
Absolutely.
the businesses rely on it and have built billion-dollar businesses and revenues from it, right? Why
Absolutely.
do you think this still works?
Again, I think it's very simple, right? Outbound, as long as it connects with that person, the value is there for that person, it will definitely work. Like I said earlier, you send me something relevant for my business and with the right intent, with the right value, it will definitely work. Right. So people where the recipient doesn't like outbound is when he gets irrelevant things. He gets something which is completely unrelated to his business. Like somebody is sending me outbound about medical equipment. What do I do with that? I mean, it's completely irrelevant. Why is he sending me medical equipment stuff, right? So I think that's where it is, keeping your relevancy high. And if the relevant emails are sent, it definitely works. If you're sending irrelevant stuff, then, just be prepared for all of your domains to get blacklisted, because people are, Google makes it so easy now that, as soon as they see that there's a tracking pixel added, they put a huge bar saying mark as spam, right? Beautiful bar, which says mark as spam, or stuff like that. And 3 people out of 1,000 mark you as spam, you're gone. Your domain is done with Google infra or Microsoft infra even. So I think being relevant and sending the right offer is very important. And I think that's the only mantra that will take you ahead in the outbound space.
Understood. Now, this gives me a very, I mean, uh, amazing perspective again to think from. As a recipient, if I am getting 10 emails every day, cold emails, I'll say, how do an SDR or sales team or anybody who is sending those emails can make it less annoying for a person like me who's receiving 10
Absolutely.
emails?
Absolutely. I think what people forget, or what we forget as cold outreach guys, is, you have to deliver value in your emails, right? You say you're asking for something without delivering value, that doesn't work. So I get a lot of times, I get an email saying, hey, I do this so and so and so. Would love to discuss. Can we book a call sometime this week? I'm like, who are you? Why do you want to book this call? Right. So I think booking a call, asking for your time is such a important thing, but you're asking for the time without even delivering value. Instead, you say that, okay, I do so and so, and I see that, I worked with companies like yours and I've done something similar, and, I've delivered value for them. Would you want me to, can I send you something over? Would this be of interest to you? Can I share a presentation or a screen recording of this? Show some value that you can deliver. Take permission to share that value. I think that works great, right? Because if somebody has interest, he will say yes, share something, and then he starts engaging with your emails, right? If there is no value, then anyways he's not responding.
Understood. See, it's all about building a rapport with
Yeah,
your prospect, and then go about and ask something which is as valuable as their time. This is, I think, one of the most important skill as a salesperson today. Somebody needs, or even as a human being, right? First, you should
absolutely,
be in a
absolutely.
position to provide a value and then ask something. Hmm. But you talked about personalization. I have a point here. With so many tools enabling personalization, that is a dangerous thing. Okay. I'll just give you an example. I think I read somewhere on LinkedIn. One of a person might have posted about their coworker raising money from them for them. Okay. Raising money via charity for them, while picking up the personalization for each individual on Clay. Okay. Uh, this point also came up as a part of the personalization. Hey, I see that
Yeah,
you have been raising money. Don't you think this is something indecent as a as a salesperson to do this unintentionally, right? This is where the personalization becomes dangerous or irrelevant. So how do I
absolutely.
still go about it?
Absolutely. I think fairly right there. And, that's where the usage of the right tool comes into play. All right. And it's a make or break, right? Everything said and done. Though you're hyper personalizing, sending that hyper personalization without reviewing is definitely a no, right? You need to just do a review of all the hyper personalized emails that have been created. If you don't have that time or the ability to do so, then just stick to a regular plain copy with syntax, right? Without syntax, definitely don't send out please, because that's something that breaks quite often. Use syntax, like that's the reason even within Reach Inbox we have a feature for AI syntax generator, which just takes your copy and generates syntax on the fly, right, automatically. So I think using a syntax generator is important if you're not using hyper personalization. This puts you in control of your overall messaging at least, right? So you know that, okay, I'm not talking something irrelevant. I'm just going directly with my offer, keeping it minimal, and then, selling what I have to sell. Yes, I think that's where it is. But if you can review, then these cases like, oh, I saw you're raising money, all of that kind of gets negated at least. And only the good ones you can pick, and you can regenerate for the ones that you feel that are not relevant.
I think, Ellen, you have given such a great insights, about your platform, for which I'm definitely gonna charge for advertisement. No, I'm just kidding. As a founder, you have all the rights to shout in every room about your products that you are building. It's like your baby. So,
Need to be constantly selling, right?
absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, one last thing I think I'm gonna ask, because what I try to do with this podcast is I want this to be useful for every person who is in the GTM side of the things, be it a founder, even an SDR or AE should find this useful. At least pick one insight from all the conversations that we do, right? Because people like you who have been doing these processes while you are building the tools or providing the stack, you have done your outbound also. I know where you have sent millions of emails in a month. Definitely those insights would be useful for somebody, not from the email sending perspective. But my question is, what is the most important skill for a sales professional today that they can acquire in this very competitive environment? How do they survive and grow in this market?
So this is for sales professionals, or is it for outbound guys?
Whatever you want to cover, I think
I think,
you can pick
I think,
and
yeah, I think absolutely. I think it's what if it's a sales guy, a sales professional. I think knowing how to do outbound. I think that's your number one understanding. Your understanding of outbound is very critical for you to get sufficient leads to kind of close your quotas, right? As a small business owner, I think knowing how to do outbound is definitely the skill that you need to cover. And most importantly, offering value through minimal text. I would say that should be your key focus. Right? What would you want to receive if you were looking for a service like this? I think that's the way I would look at whenever I kind of put together sequences for my products. That's what I think, that okay, if I were looking for a service like this, what would I read and feel? Okay, let me hit the reply button, right? I think that's pretty critical, because I still see a lot of people still sending from their primary domains on HubSpot or any of their CRMs that they use, just burn out their domains, burn out their mailboxes, and affect everything that they have, right? Their primary email infra. So figure this out of, maybe look at more podcasts like yours, understand how cold outreach can be used as an effective tool for lead generation, and that's, I think, the most important skill set.
Understood. So I will say, as a part of the process, one should learn first the tools and the copywriting, right? And
Absolutely.
then putting yourself in the shoes of a receiver or your prospect,
Yes.
what they would
Yes.
want to listen or hear,
Yeah.
and then go about it. That's your
Yes.
shortcut way of succeeding in the outbound as an early
Absolutely.
sales professional, or anybody who's even in long in their journey but still figuring out things or learning new things. I guess that's it, Alan. Thank you so much for taking out time and doing this.
Okay. Thank you. My pleasure. Great stuff here, Dheeraj. Let's do more of this, and wish you all the best.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.